First of all, tell me a little bit about the work you do with the name of the organization.
Center for 21st Century Issues. Yeah, that this organization is responding to the issues of the 21st century. And we know one of the profound issues of the 21st century is climate change. And we work a lot in the area of climate change. We work from local to global to actually address climate change issues. Right now, at the local level, we work with Lagos State government in terms of trying to ensure that they mainstream gender into climate change actions. We just finished a research for them on gender and climate change, and we are going to use the outcome of that research to fashion out an adaptation strategy for Lagos State, because for some years now we have been faced with a lot of impacts of climate change on the state. And earlier this year, sometime in July, we witnessed an outstanding rainfall which has never happened before. A total amount of rainfall that is supposed to fall for a whole month came down in one day, and it disrupted so many things. We lost a lot of money in terms of business, finance, and so many things. And now the question is now on the table: how do we adapt to climate change?
Are people receptive to the idea? Do they accept the idea that climate change, I mean, it's presumably this rainfall, this massive rainfall, brought it home to people? There is a problem in Nigeria with climate change
Well,
events.
because when we started the climate change awareness in Nigeria, it seems like, what are they talking about? It's not happening here. Maybe it's happening somewhere in Bangladesh. It's not as much as that. But when that rainfall happened, people started making calls to me that what you have said is happening. What do we do? We have lost our things. We have lost our houses. Who is going to support us? That was then I took up the advocacy. I sent a press statement to the government and said they must support people who have lost so many things and those who have lost their lives. And most of the people who are affected most are women. And now we are still dialoguing with the state government to ensure that there is a fund and a support for all those who have been affected by the impacts of climate change.
How did the government respond to that request?
Really, I will tell you that the government has been very responsive to most of our demands. Now we are working on the adaptation strategy. Now we are working on a policy framework for the Lagos State government. And we have this partnership in Lagos State, we call it the Lagos State Climate Change Partnership. In that partnership, we have come up with a policy framework for the government, which the government is looking at now. And by February next year, the adaptation strategy and the policy, they are going to be launched at the next Lagos State Climate Change Summit.
Okay, thank you. Saeed, you work with Nigerian youth. Tell me a little bit about the work you're doing. Are Nigerian youngsters involved, understand the issues of climate change?
Thank you, Daniel. I'm the Executive Director for Youth Vision Alliance Network. Youth Vision Alliance Network is an organization that is founded by youth, led by youth, and operated by youth. So we are 100% youth-oriented. And one of the things we plan to do is to empower youth with leadership skills, sustainable leadership skills that will make them relevant in their community. And one of the ways we can actually achieve this is by investing in capacity building, and also talking about the health issue that is very paramount, that's very rampant in Nigeria, and also talking about the environment. And in these areas, we try to empower them through awareness campaign, seminars, workshops, and the likes. But especially on the area of climate change. Most people believe that climate change is an act of God, that it's not as a result of human action towards the environment. And it's really even sad to know that even learned fellows don't accept that climate change is for real. Most people feel it's fiction. So we set out to sensitize people to remove the myth away from the real fact that climate change is caused by human activities over time on the environment. So by doing this, we believe that that's the first step towards achieving a more viable and sustainable society that we all dream about. So my organization, we work with other youth organizations within the state and outside the country to achieve this. We are one of the local organizers for 350. We have been doing that since 2009 during the Global Day of Action, where we organize a football competition for 350 minutes. Just to talk about this symbolic number, the 350. In 2010, we also organized a workshop, the first of its kind for youth in over 10 schools. During this time, we brought together different schools, teach them how to adapt, how to contribute their own little quota in the fight against climate change. And this year, we partner with different organizations in Nigeria to carry out the Day of a Global Moving Planet, which centers around sourcing for alternative mode of transportation. Because after we did some research, we discovered that Lagos State is suffering from overpopulation. We have over 17 million people in Lagos State, and Lagos is quite small, very busy, very noisy, highly polluted. So what can we do to reduce our personal footprint is by reducing the number of times we enter into motorcycles and the cars we use. We should encourage the habit of taking bicycles or walking, which is really good for our health. So we came up with this strategy with some partner organizations to carry out this demand, and we went to different schools on the Lagos Island, on the Lagos mainland, and we also did a rally that was really impressive because it got the attention of the Lagos State government. And after the rally, the government got in touch with us and said that we should partner, we should liaise with the Minister and the Commissioner for Transportation and Commissioner for Environment, which we have been doing. And one of the things I want to recommend to them is to start a pilot project where we have a mini safe lane for bicycles, just for bicycle riders. And in such ways, we can actually encourage people to ride, because it's quite dangerous to ride bicycle in Lagos. So these are some of the things that we have been doing.
Also, outside of Lagos, Nigeria is a huge, ethnically, geographically diverse country. I mean, do you manage to get to the far corners of the country, to the different regions of Nigeria?
Yeah, we have carried out a project in Imo State earlier this year. We did something on cancer as the environment affects us, because some of these emissions, greenhouse emissions, causes cancer. It causes health hazard to our environment. So we went to Imo State to train over 200 nursing students in one of the nursing schools in Imo State on how they can prevent themselves against breast and cervical cancer, which is the #1 and 2 killer of women. And it may interest you to know that cervical cancer kills one woman in every 2 minutes. So you can imagine the number of times we've been speaking, how many women have died worldwide of cervical cancer. So these are also very important issues that we have to look at, because climate change affects virtually everything about our lives. Climate change brings about mosquitoes infection, malaria, because our climate is becoming more warmer, and that is what mosquito needs to actually breed their eggs. So we have been going around. Last year also we had Benin, the neighboring country, to talk about how climate and health affect our lives.
Thank you very much, Saeed. And Titi Lola, what area do you work specifically in?
Okay, I work with youth, directly with youth in the higher institutions in Lagos State, and now we've extended our work to Osun State. Presently, I will be staying for 1 year, and I'll be working with youth in secondary schools, mobilizing them on how to take actions on climate change and also be aware of the issues. Not only that, and we have Nigerian Youth Service Corps. We have like 25 youths on ground now that have been trained on the issue of climate change through our experiences and actions that will be taken. And again, in Lagos State, we established a club in the Lagos State Polytechnic called the Green Club, where we sensitize students of the higher institution to take actions, know the issues, and also take action and plant trees on every tree planting day. Then again, after planting, they sustain their trees. Again, we celebrated International Youth Day in August 2010, where we did training for 100 students from the Department of Agricultural Engineering and Agricultural Science on the issue of climate change. And now I can tell you we have like 50 plus students on ground that have been well trained on the issue of climate change, and they are taking action. Even after school, they still continue with it, and even their project is on the issue of climate change and agriculture.
So presumably these are the leaders of the future, the people when as they get older will get more and more involved in climate change issues.
Yes, and yes, they are. And even some of them still, they develop interest in the issue now to go for agriculture and climate change, so they can incorporate agriculture into sustainable development.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you. You want to add another word?
Yes, I want to add just to what
Hold on a
Titi
second.
said, because since she works with the youth really, and most of the time she works with us at the C21 to create a synergy with the young people in the university. Early this year, we had a training for them at the Lagos State College Technologies, College of Technology here in Ikorodu with SAY21. She's one of our program officers now, and she worked with me directly on the gender and climate change research, and she's the research assistant. So we've been moving forward on that. And on a larger scale with Nigeria itself, we've been engaging the climate change policy at the national level. We were at the 3 days to look at the climate change policy for Nigeria. Before we came here, we also look at the adaptation strategy for Nigeria before we came here to put in the civil society input into it. We have been working at the federal level, and at the international level, we've been engaged with PACJA, the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance, and we've been working on how to ensure that there's climate justice within the negotiations. We've been working with PACJA since COP14, and up to here, we were also part of the caravan that came in here, talking about telling the climate change stories from different countries before we got to Durban. We joined them here in Durban, our own people from Nigeria who joined the caravan. And then we've been talking about the issue of climate justice at the global level. And on the gender level, at the global level, we work with the Gender CC. And we just finished what I call the cutting edge pack on gender and climate change. It's a policy document. It's a document where people can use at the national and at the international level to mainstream gender into climate change issues. And the idea is we worked on this with the Institute of Development Studies Success UK, and they're coming in here we have just finished the pack and they are going to distribute it here. And I think sometime in February, March, we are going to launch the cutting edge pack. Already it's on the internet now. If you get onto the IDS website, you will see the whole book. And Center for 21st Century was on the advisory board of that cutting edge program.